So I'm back in the shop doing an oil change on this. This is its final oil change on Shell Rotella. I don't know if you guys are experiencing the same issues that I am here, but Rotella is not on shelves and has not been for months. So I've made my decision. That's right. Switching to Amsoil. I went ahead and decided I'm going to become an Amsoil dealer because I really do like their products. I only really want to support what I truly like. I've heard really good people that I trust say amazing things about the Amsoil engine oil, and I run Amsoil in everything else. I've got Amsoil in my axles, I've got Amsoil in my transmission. I've got a little bit of normal power steering fluid, but I'll probably switch that over to Amsoil at some point. I really like the Amsoil products. I get it, they are expensive. My justification for never running the engine oil was that gets changed a lot more often. I will say that my 15W40 Shell Rotella T5 does not look like 1540 after 10,000 miles. It looks like water. I am now an authorized independent Amsoil dealer. I'm not affiliated with Amsoil at all, other than I am a dealer. I pay the dealer fees like all dealers out there. If you are interested in Amsoil products, I'll have links on my YouTube page, and I'll have a link at the bottom of this video as well in my description where you can join and become a preferred member. The way it works with Amsoil is I don't have to ship it to you. That's what's so amazing about this. I will get a little bit of money, and just to help me support what I'm doing here, you can still go to amsoil.com, place your orders. In the Amsoil preferred customer, you get a 25% discount off retail, and you pay $30 a year. In my very first Amsoil order, when I found out about this, I was literally on the checkout page, and it said, do you want to be a preferred customer? And I'm like, I don't know what that means. I clicked, I looked on it, I saw it would be $30 for a year, and I thought, you know what, for $30, I'll try it, I'll see if it does anything. I saved $150 on my very first order. They make a lot of different products. I have not tried this one. It's a gasoline stabilizer. I have tried this one. It's a diesel injector clean cetane boost. It's in competition with this. They make a mudslinger product, which helps on your off-road vehicles. They make ATV and UTV motor oil. They make an antifreeze that works in multiple vehicles, so I can get rid of my Prestone and my Mopar. I started years ago trying to figure out how to consolidate, because I had Mopar antifreeze and this antifreeze and that. I had all these different things for all these different brands, and I wanted a way to simplify, and Amsoil seems to be that way. That's what's in my axle. But you notice I still have Lucas. I'm still running that out. I still have some Mopar gear lube. I still have that Lucas gear lube. I still have my Kubota. See what I mean about all the different fluids? It's crazy, and it's insane trying to keep all these different fluids, and I'm done with it. So I'm making the switch. Basically, almost nobody has diesel oil on the shelves, and I can go to Amsoil and I can place the order and have it in like 3 days. So the truck is done. It is out. I got the Jeep in here. I'm going to change the manual transmission fluid. I've got stock Jeep fluid, and I think Dad bought it in about '02 when he bought the Jeep. So, in case you don't know, this is my dad's Jeep. My dad died a few years ago from cancer, and then my mom had cancer right after that. I wound up getting this Jeep after Dad died. We had to go, Mom moved down here. She's living with my brother. I've been trying to figure out what I want to do with this Jeep. And as you can see, it's kind of a lowrider Jeep. It's lifted up right now on jack stands, but the Jeep itself sits really low. I was sitting next to one of these little SUVs, and the Jeep was the same height, and it's just doing a brake change on it. So I've got the first brake done. These are weird brakes on this Dana 30. This is a Dana 30 front, Dana 44 rear. Right now it's in for 4-wheel brakes. I've got the drums here. I hate drum brakes. That's what I'm gonna run in my transmission. The Mopar fluid hates this cold weather, and I mean, by cold, I mean I live in the South. It's not cold, like really cold. It's 25, but it's like shifting molasses. So I'm gonna try this Amsoil while it's still a little bit cold. I just changed this fluid fall, I think, but it came out with so much brass and metal shavings that I didn't want to run that for very long. But after working on my truck, everything on this thing is so tiny. It's just weird. It's like working on a toy, and I don't want a toy. So these brakes are just really weird. I've never seen any quite like this. I'm used to a multi-piece brake assembly where you've got a piston assembly, but then the pads are going to stay over here, and you can just pull that off when you need it. And then this has these clips. It's hard to do with just one hand, but it's got these clips, and there's a post that locks it in here. See what I mean? You got these little posts here that fit in these holes, and then this clip holds it onto here. I've never seen anything quite like that. So I know that this is probably not exactly how this is supposed to be used. It works. Impact drives it off. But yeah, it's got these 3 little tabs that fit in the piston. Maybe it's me, but I've just never seen anything quite like that. And like I said, I'm used to my truck, which is an 08 Dodge Ram. I'm used to my 07 and even my Subaru was not like this. Like, of all the vehicles I've worked on and owned, none of them have been like this. This is the weirdest axle. New pads are on. These are, I don't know, I have no clue. Found them on Parts Geek. If y'all don't know about Parts Geek, oh, this is the fun part. I gotta actually line the bottom up. Those 2 U's actually have to line up with there, and then I can pivot it in. So it would fit like this and then slide in. But anyway, if y'all don't know about Parts Geek, they're not a sponsor. I really like them because I still have to pay for shipping, which I guess we're all spoiled from Amazon, but their shipping's not bad. It really isn't. It's really fast shipping, and their parts are so cheap. I cannot find these same parts at, anywhere, really, for anywhere near the same price. In fact, I had to redo the entire AC system on my truck. $250, every single component of that system, including the compressor. Whereas I went to, local parts stores, $250 for the AC compressor, then everything else. So I mean, it was like literally $500 local, or $250 plus a little bit of shipping through Parts Geek for everything. And I mean, that's how this is. Like, all 4 wheels for the brakes on this was like $70. Brakes are done on this side, and grease. Oh, you going? Okay. Yeah. So I haven't worked on any drum brakes in probably 20 or so years. I actually thought I left all drum brakes back in the past. So I was just telling Jack here how this works, and then I thought, why don't I just tell everybody here? There's actually a special tool, and luckily Dad has it, so I've got his tools. These 2 pieces here actually hold this whole brake shoe in. So you take this little tool, you push it in, you turn it a quarter turn, you pull it out. It's spring loaded on that little cup. Then they'll like pivot out from the bottom, they're held in. There's a spring on each side up top that holds to a center pin. Back here at the very top, this thing right here is the actual wheel cylinder that pushes them out. So they push out from the top, they pivot at the bottom, but then there's this little thing that spins down here. I don't know if you can see that. There's an adjuster. See that right there? That's an adjuster. So as these shoes wear, it keeps them pushed out. It's a very complex system. Whenever you do a drum brake, have both wheels off, but only disassemble one brake at a time. You'll need to look at the other brake. Even back when I used to do them a lot, still you have to look at the other brake, because invariably, you know, each one is backwards from the other, but invariably you'll start in there and then you'll be like, oh, I think I messed something up. And then you go look at the other side, figure out where you messed up, and then you're back in business. So let me get my tools for this and I'll be right back. Bear with me and don't laugh because I'm very rusty. These are the special tools for these little pieces. See the slot? You see the pin? There it goes. I'm trying to remember how. Oh yeah, that's right. There's another spring down here. So there's that spring that now will let the bottom separate. That's the adjuster. It sits, that's supposed to be there. It sits like that. Your shoe sits in either side. I'm gonna screw that back in. There's your parking brake cable. So when you pull the parking brake, it's actually operating that. Okay. Now that falls off. See, that's the wheel cylinder right there, that piece. So when you hit the brakes, it's got a piston on each side that actually pushes right there and pushes the pad out. That's how it works. You ready?
Yep.
See that swell?
Uh-huh.
That's what it does.
Are you gonna have to do that every time you put the parking brake on?
No, because it swells into this. Into this here. So this sits over top of that, so it can only swell so much. So what you're doing, every time you hit the brakes, you're actually pushing those brake shoes out into this.
Makes sense.
Makes sense? That's why it's so easy to pull the parking brake right now. So, yay, one done. So the trick that we figured out, we forgot to video this, is if we clamp this with a welding clamp, then we can put that on and not have to be fighting this whole thing. We figured out on this side because there's just so much going on. And I was wrong. This is not the parking brake cable. This is a tensioner for this adjustment. What you call it? I don't know. The parking brake is actually, you can see it coming over here, and it's this big thing back here. It's this thing back here that I wasn't sure what it was. That's the parking brake. So it ties in up here and does some pulling, and I don't know how it works. It's some black magic, and I don't like it. This side has been whipped. Haha. I came back from church and I just wanted to knock this sucker out. So this side is whipped. I can put tires back on. I'm gonna drain the transmission fluid and this will be done. So yes, one more project knocked out. I learned a trick. I just wanted to share it with y'all. So this ring that goes around here, down, and then hooks down here. Last night when I was working on this, I was really struggling trying to keep this in because this actually fits in a hole in this metal piece. I was really struggling trying to put that ring on, have it it actually tensioned because it's got a spring at the bottom of the shoe that holds the automatic adjuster. So the automatic adjuster spins and it's got a little ratchet. Well, that spring locks up top to hold that piece over to make the ratchet. And I was struggling with that last night. I don't know why I didn't think about it, but the thought just crossed my mind as I was working on this one. Why don't I hook it up top, leave the bottom unhooked, get my spring hooked up, and then hook it up on the bottom where it's easy. So what I mean is, I went ahead and I put the ring on, and I put this spring on here. This side was not on yet. I didn't even have that in. I had the shoe held with my welding clamp right like that. So I'm working on it. I've got this cable on. I've got this spring on. Then I come down here. I push this up that way. That's up, you know. Push that up and then lock this piece. It's a hook on the end of that spring. Lock it right in on that. That's what I should have done yesterday. That made this so much easier because then I wasn't dealing with all this extra stuff. I guess there's probably, if I read a book, it would show me the proper steps, but I'm kind of hard-headed and I was like, it's brakes. Anyway, so if you happen to be doing these on your Dana 44, because this is a Dana 44, if you happen to be doing this on the Dana 44 and you see this video and you're struggling, lock the top with the bottom unhooked on that cable and it will change your world on these brakes. This took me maybe 30 minutes to do this side. The other side took me probably an hour. Granted, the other side, I hadn't done drum brakes in probably 20 years. So I'm having to knock a lot of rust off of my brain.